Snow falling across parts of the area, okay? The bulk of that heaviest stuff has moved through, but we're going to get this back edge. See it stretching kind of back here into far western Illinois. That's going to swing through as we go throughout the course of tonight, so we're not quite done yet. And I know a lot of you are asking, okay, just how much snow actually fell? Well, here's the thing. We got reports close to 10 inches. Take a look at the numbers here. 9.5 in Chatham, 8.5 in Taylorville, Bunker Hill. Arcola had 8 inches, Paris 7.5, 7 Mattoon, Oakland, Newman, Springfield. These are just a few here, okay? Yes, there have been some areas that have seen far less to the north. As we kind of always said all along, that would be the case. So what is the concern now? Well, it's pretty chilly out there tonight. We've got temperatures that are into the 20s, but it feels like the single digits. And there's a pretty good little wind out there that is whipping things around pretty good. Speaking of being outside, why don't we take you outside to meteorologist Seth Bonoff, who's out in the weather garden tonight. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, Kevin, there's no real actual active snowfall going on out here, I don't think anyway. I think these flakes that are kind of just falling in front of me are actually just the wind kind of blowing some of that powdery snow out here. Last check just measured, we're at about 3 inches here out here in the weather garden, measured a couple of different surfaces, which 3 inches of snow doesn't sound like a whole lot, but just right behind me here, Neal Street, it's actually the roads have been pretty covered throughout a good chunk of this evening there, and it's been a little difficult for some travel out there. It's manageable. You just kind of have to go a little slowly there, but overall things are not too bad. As mentioned, though, the winds are picking up. It is certainly cold out here during the day. When we didn't have those winds, it didn't feel too bad. Now those wind chills are really starting to factor into things here, and even if that snow is overall set to be light through the night here, that wind is really going to continue to kind of kick things around. And just kind of show you an example here, I'm going to pick up just a little bit of the snow on the ground, just kind of give it a little toss and try not to hit myself in the face with it. And you can just see how much your visibility can be reduced in that, and I completely got myself there, but that's the exact point there. That snow is going to be blowing around. Even if it's not actively falling, impacts could still be felt. Kevin, back into you.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Yeah, that snow coming down, and I know that you're out there in the weather garden, and right behind the fence there is Neal Street. Okay, and you can see it is snow covered. The road is snow covered out there, and it's compacted down. It's really cold tonight, so these temperatures are going to stay cold. At some point, some of that salt does stay pretty ineffective. But boy, there have been far worse conditions down to our south, especially near I-70, and we go down towards Greenup, where meteorologist Jacob Dickey is. Jacob, it has been a mess down there tonight.
Yeah, that's right, Kevin. It has been quite a mess here along the I-70 corridor. There's been numerous crashes and wrecks. One in particular you saw a video of earlier. That was on I-70 eastbound between here in Greenup and over in Casey. I talked to a tow truck operator here in Casey earlier this evening. He told me that there are 6 miles of crashes that they have to clean up on, and they are still doing that. He expected that maybe the interstate would not be open until perhaps tomorrow morning here in the Greenup area. You can see behind me right now, police are working in this area to move all of the traffic off of the interstate. A lot of semi-traffic has been waiting for some clear path to come through, and that has finally happened with US 40 at least open for now here, but the blowing and drifting of the snow becoming a problem down here now as that wind continues to pick up, and we are continuing to see that get stronger and stronger slowly but surely here, likely to be a very impactful night for folks down here across the I-70 corridor. We'll have more on this coming up tonight at 10, and of course on our digital platforms. Kevin, I'll go ahead and send it back from you in Greenup. Kevin, back to you.
All right, so thanks a lot, Jacob. Appreciate it there. Again, we'll have more on what to expect for the rest of the night coming up here a little bit later on. But, of course, a lot still on our website at WCIA.com. Our ongoing winter weather blog is seen there as well. Amanda, back.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much. Transitioning now to other stories our team is following today. One boy was killed and another still fighting for his life after an ATV accident in Macon County today. Around noon, the sheriff's office responded to the scene on Fort Daniel Road near the conservation area. That's where deputies say a 43-year-old man was driving an ATV and pulling the two boys in an inner tube. While turning on a downhill slope, the tube slid and hit a large boulder. Other agencies responded as well and took the boys to the hospital. One died and the other was transported to Springfield for more treatment. The investigation is ongoing. Now to Cumberland County, where large portions of I-70 still closed after a major accident. Take a look at this video. You can see multiple semi-trucks just off the side of the road. State police say that the pileup started around 1:30 and it involved about 40 vehicles. An official from Heartland Towing says there are about 6 miles worth of road to clean up, and I-70 probably won't be fully reopened until the morning. Multiple agencies also responded here, including crews from Montrose.
If you can stay home, stay home. And anybody that's on the interstates, find a hotel and let them get the roads cleared.
He says his department's first call came in around 7 this morning. They responded to a semi-rollover. There were many other emergencies throughout the day. And towns and cities alike have been preparing for days like today for months. In Champaign, public works officials say they've been checking equipment and planning snow removal routes since October. Crews have been plowing and salting roads 24/7 today, and the department's response is ever evolving. And besides tracking today's winter weather system, there are still plenty of news headlines to get to. We have updates on a deadly shooting in Sangamon County and a car crash near Arcola that sent 6 to the hospital. That and more next.
Live from your local news leader, Amanda Brennan, and Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Seth Bonoff. You're watching WCIA 3 News at 9 on X49.
One person is dead and another is hurt after more than 50 shots were fired last night in Springfield. Just before 8, the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office responded to East Carpenter Street and North Daniels Avenue. That's where they learned someone shot at a car, and then that same car took 2 victims to the hospital. The coroner says 31-year-old LaJarvia Smith from Springfield was shot multiple times. He later died at the hospital. A 23-year-old woman was also shot. She's expected to be okay. Deputies say a dark 4-door sedan was also involved, and that car was last seen leaving the scene. If you have any information, contact law enforcement. And in Arcola, 6 people are in the hospital after a crash on I-57 last night. Around 9 p.m., state police responded after a car was driving the wrong way in the northbound lanes. 2 cars crashed, lanes were temporarily closed, and traffic was rerouted. WCIA has reached out for more information and have not yet heard back. And Seth, that crash was from yesterday, but I mean all day today. It's just we've been hearing one after another.
Just been a lot of stuff out there. I know life doesn't stop sometimes. You got to be some places, but we just knew today was going to be one of those tricky days. Warned you if you didn't have to go somewhere that definitely don't. And even here during this lull period, there's still some impacts being felt, and those roads are plenty covered across the area. We'll take a look at kind of where the most dangerous spots are at right now, as well as the rest of the night coming up after this.
Now, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Seth Bonoff.
All right, so even though we've seen a lot of snow move on in, things are not quite done tonight, although we have started to see that activity kind of taper off just a little bit. You can see plenty still on the ground, though, as we look on in Charleston. Actually, intersections like these tend to be kind of the trickiest stuff in the snow just because you got people coming from 4 different directions. Those tire trails kind of mix into each other. When you cross over into one, it's definitely easy to kind of move around within some of that. Let's take a look and see where that snow is at right now. We can see on our radar picture, we've really started to dry some things up here, but notice the direction all these snow bands to the northwest are moving. They're kind of just moving north now. They're starting to get ready to shift to the southeast again. We even have some nice little pockets up there across some of our northern counties that maybe we're missing out on some of the action earlier in the day. You can see up there closer in the Livingston County area, parts of northern Ford County, getting in on the action that they maybe missed out on earlier. But this whole system, you can see getting ready to shift back to the southeast here. So we're going to have some more snow bands to contend with through the night, although they will be relatively light in nature compared to what we saw earlier today. Let's talk about the impacts that we have seen, because we've had all sorts of accidents across the area. The big thing that we always talk about with winter storms, though, isn't necessarily the snowfall amounts, but it's the impacts that they bring to the area. And if you remember, we had an impacts chart that pretty much had high impacts from I-74 all the way down to the south, with those impacts quickly tapering off the farther north you went. And look right here, the road conditions, according to IDOT, have pretty much those mostly covered roads all across the area south of I-74. So that is the thing that affects your life. That is more important than the difference between maybe 4 or 5 inches of snow. So we're still dealing with that tonight. And of course, some more snowfall reports there, just kind of touching up on some of the highest numbers. Our high end was about 10 inches there on our forecast, and that's about where we're settling at right now. Of course, maybe adding on just a little bit to these totals through the night. But Chatham, 9.5 inches, lots of places there between I-72 and I-70, kind of clocking in anywhere between 6, even all the way up there to those closer to 10-inch range, which again was that heaviest band that we saw. Now this graphic might be just a little hard to see up here on the wall, but this is kind of a visual depiction of where the snowfall reports are coming from. This yellow band here is kind of that 6 to 8-inch range, and then as you get up there to the north, you can start to see those totals really taper off very quickly with time. We talked about that cutoff, and we have seen that here exactly come into play. A place like Champaign, only 3 inches, but Arcola, I know we had an 8+ inch report there, so just a very short distance, and it made a huge difference. And again, we were talking about this with our forecast. Very sharp cutoff up there to the north, but we knew there was going to be some sort of a sweet spot here that didn't see interruption from sleet, still had that heaviest snow in there, and that is essentially what ended up coming to fruition. Now, let's talk about right now and what's to come here through the rest of the night. There's wind chills all the way down into the single digits. Like I mentioned earlier, I was outside when it was 22 degrees at about 10 in the morning. It didn't feel bad because it wasn't windy. Now it's windy, and it definitely feels cold. A 20-degree day without wind actually does not feel too bad at all. But now we're starting to see those winds increase. Even though those temperatures are going to be right at 20, the wind chill is going to get down there well into the low single digits. And into the day tomorrow, we are going to see some snow showers early on. Those impacts are going to continue as well, even though we'll start to see those snow showers wrap up. So here's the future track through the rest of the night. That band wrapping back around, bringing some of those lighter snow showers to the area. It's not going to last too long into the day Monday, though. I think when the sun rises, many of us will be wrapping up on our snow chances, and say 7, 8 a.m., everything might finally be on out of here. We might even actually have some peaks of sunshine there into the afternoon. But things are going to stay cold, and it's also going to stay windy. So even though at 8 in the morning tomorrow, there's not going to be any actively falling snow, those winds ramp up, gusts still near 30 miles an hour. That could continue to blow the snow around. Say we get some of those roads uncovered, maybe some of the snow from a field over blows back onto the road there, so that'll continue to be something to monitor moving forward. Also, a big thing that's kind of been mentioned, but kind of not the big focus here because of the storm today, is the cold temperatures to follow. Look at these highs down all the way into the teens. Overnight lows maybe close to 0, if not below 0 in a few spots. These kind of thicker snowpacks tend to reflect a lot of that sunlight that we get, and it makes things colder. It's really hard to warm up there when you have the snowpack on the ground. So essentially, we're going to see those temperatures become even colder now because of the snow. And I know a lot of people are not looking forward to the cold temperatures. And like I said, usually those numbers aren't bad, but now it's a little windy. It definitely feels like winter.
Yeah, make sure you have your hat, your gloves, scarf, all the above, right?
Everything that you need. Make sure your driveway is nice and shoveled out there, and we should be able to manage things here in the upcoming days.
Okay, Seth, thank you so much. A veteran in Champaign is searching for solutions after a fire on New Year's Eve took everything from him. His story and how you can help are next.